What's up, boo? My name is Jeanette, also known as Ms.FitVegan. Today, it's episode 480, and I am going to answer your questions. So, I actually asked a question this morning on my Instagram. What is your biggest challenge when trying to stick to a raw vegan diet? Got a lot of answers, and here are a few. Number one is the colder months. That's very challenging for a lot of people, so I understand. The fruit is not as good, and it's freezing, and you really are not in the mood for a freezing cold smoothie when you're freezing, right? So some things that I recommend is you move to the tropics. Just kidding, but not really. I recommend that you keep your bananas outside the fridge, and if you're using frozen fruit, then I recommend you put it in the fridge overnight to defrost it so that you don't have freezing cold smoothies. Because if you're freezing cold and you drink a freezing cold smoothie, you won't exactly be happy. So, another thing I recommend is take your fruit or vegetables outside of the fridge at least an hour before you're going to eat them. So that, if you make a salad, you want to make sure, take all your stuff out an hour before, and so it won't be a freezing cold salad. All right, that has helped me a lot. And again, if you're making smoothies, keep your bananas outside the fridge, outside the freezer. Don't freeze your bananas. And if they get too soft, then obviously put them in the fridge or the freezer. But try your very, very best to have bananas outside the freezer so you can have, room temperature smoothies. And something that I really loved in the winters, because, I was raw vegan for 9 years in New York City, is a drink. And this drink is dates, cinnamon, ginger, and water. You put that in the blender. So I did about 10 dates, sprinkle of cinnamon, a little inch of ginger or ginger powder, boiling hot water into the blender. You blend it up. It smells so good. It's an amazing drink that is great for the winter time. I'd also recommend tea, hot caffeine-free tea, herbal tea, and I'd recommend a space heater, which is something that I had to do because I lived in New York, and there's a lot of old buildings in New York, and so we didn't have control of the temperature in our apartment. So I was freezing cold a lot. Okay, next. Wanting things, biggest issues, what was the question? Biggest challenges when trying to stick to a raw vegan diet. Wanting things that are warm, feel hearty, especially potatoes. Yeah. So I don't think there's anything wrong with potatoes if they're in a very, very big salad. I understand the feeling of wanting something hearty. So that's where I would personally not make a potato. I would bake some carrots. I'd bake zucchini. I would maybe bake some peppers. And I would put those in my big salad because they're going to digest a whole lot better because you can eat them raw. Anything you can eat raw will digest better than what you need to cook in order to eat. All right, personally. This does not apply to cruciferous vegetables like broccoli and Brussels sprouts. Don't ever try to eat those raw. That is just a big mistake. They'll cause a lot of gas and bloating, and they're not for humans. It's obvious, right? Try to only eat things that you can digest. And broccoli, cauliflower, these are not things that you can digest. Honestly, I've tried. Maybe you can, I can't. Okay, next. Food prep. Okay. Yeah, so somebody's challenge is food prep. Don't then. Boo. Why do you need to food prep? Just have mono meals. And then you might be like, oh, well, they're boring. Okay, well, then you don't know how to pick out your fruit. Because there is absolutely nothing boring about a mono meal if it's amazing. Like, I just had a mono meal of figs. And it's like I had 10 jelly donuts. And, whoa, mind-blowing. Okay? An amazingly ripe, delicious cantaloupe, honeydew, oranges, persimmons. These are really, really, really good things that they're not boring. I mean, if you just open up your mind and start to realize that nature is the absolute best chef on earth, then you'll start to see fruit as a whole meal. and something that like was designed with so many different flavors and like components in it. So I just need you to understand that you don't need to food prep as a raw vegan. I barely do. And sometimes I have salads, but I make them in like 5-10 minutes. Seriously, I don't spend a lot of time in the kitchen. I never use my dehydrator, and I recommend you don't either. Next, cravings and consistency. Cravings and consistency. Well, listen to my podcast from yesterday about the cravings part. Consistency, yeah, that's important. If you can't stay consistent, you can't reach your goals. You can't ever see the results of your better choices. So you're going to have to stay consistent. Now, that doesn't really help me understand why you can't stay consistent. Why can't you stay consistent? Maybe you're hanging around people that are eating stuff you don't want to eat. Maybe you need to stop hanging around those people. You need to make new friends. What's another reason? Maybe you can't be consistent because you're not buying enough fruit. If you don't have enough fruit in your house, then you're going to be hungry, and you're not at all going to be able to stick to this. In order to be consistent on the raw food diet, you have to have a consistent, high amount of fruit in the house. Okay, next is finding variety. Yeah, that's a good one. Have you tried all of the supermarkets around you? Have you gone to every ethnic market, any type of Asian store? Have you like literally spent the whole entire weekend going to lots of different places to see what they have? There's a lot of gems in your neighborhood that you don't even know about. Have you tried that? Have you looked up fruit wholesalers with your zip code? Have you gone to different farmers markets? Have you Googled and then actually taken the whole day to go to different places? I'm guessing you haven't, but maybe you have. Let me know. Next, the time involved with eating enough to meet needs and avoid caloric dense foods. The time involved with eating enough. Wow. I do not see. Let me try. The time. Well, yes, your portions are going to be bigger, so it's going to take a little more time to eat. But the time that you're saving on prepping the food and cooking and washing the dishes, you'll be spending eating. Or, I mean, me personally, guys, I don't just eat. I eat and work, or I eat and talk to someone, or I eat and do something productive. So, like, I've never thought about that before in my life. Wow. That's a first. Have not seen that. The time involved with eating enough to meet needs. Well, make smoothies. You blend it in 5 minutes or less. You can drink that in 5 minutes or less. I'm not saying it's going to be smart to drink a smoothie in 5 minutes or less, but you can do it. We got a few more. Hold on. So let me go to the screenshot where I have the other ones from my community. All right, here we go. So going out to eat is the biggest challenge. Yeah, so going out to eat is the biggest challenge. What we can do is we can eat before we go. We can order a salad and bring our own dressing. We can bring our own salad. We can bring our own fruit. Or we can find a place that actually has raw vegan food. Those are the options. That's it. Those are the options, boo. Next, social outings and cooked vegan restaurants. My willy mind works hard to convince me anything vegan is okay. Why is 100% raw that important, etc.? Yeah, if you're not convinced that 100% raw is the way to eat, is the best and most optimal way, if you're not 100% convinced that you want to be raw, then you probably won't be raw, right? Like, you're probably not going to do it because why would anybody? It's inconvenient sometimes. So, yeah, I get that. So if you want to convince yourself, just consume a lot of content, read lots of books, read the 80-10-10, and read the mucusless diet healing system again, and watch movies like Raw Foods. I think there's a movie called Eating. The third edition is great. There's Gabriel Cousins has a raw food documentary, and just get really, Return to the Brain of Eden. Read lots of raw books and start consuming raw vegan audio. And really, really get convinced, because if you're not convinced, you're not going to do it. That's absolutely true. My husband and his junk food. Okay, the hardest, most challenging part of sticking to a raw vegan diet is my husband and his junk food. I'd recommend getting a divorce. Next. No, just kidding. So I would recommend communicating to your husband that this is very difficult for me, and I don't want to control you, but I want to find a middle ground because I'm trying my very best to stick to a raw vegan diet, but these foods that you have around are very tempting to me. So maybe you can eat these outside the house, or maybe we can keep these in a cabinet or a drawer where I don't see them, or maybe you can eat these not around me, or maybe you can, just communicate respectfully, kindly, openly, and be vulnerable. And let your husband know that it's very difficult. You don't want to be like this, but it's really tempting to you. And, you're trying to heal, and you really want to just be healthy and happy and fit and strong, for yourself and for your husband. And if he can help you with this, it would really mean so, so, so much to you. And, if he loves you and he's a great husband, then he'll understand and he'll actually want to do that for you. He'll eat the stuff out of the house, or he'll eat it when you're not around, or he'll go into another room to eat it, or he'll just find a way to make you happier and be more comfortable living with him and being with him, because the truth is that you don't have to be with him. It's a choice every day. It's a choice. And you're number one, right? Your health is number one. So he must be number two. So some of us are making our spouses number one and us number two. And it has to be flipped. We cannot continue to live the life we've lived and try to change at the same time. A lot of people are trying to stay the same and change at the same time. It doesn't work. Next, I almost said his name. I love my boo. Sorry. All right, I'm going to skip over his for a second. Okay, another person, cold climate. Okay, another person says, saying no when people offer me vegan junk food that they cooked, or vegan food. Like last week at work, somebody gave me a plate of plain white rice and salsa. They're like, hey, I don't know if you can eat this, but I just want to give you this because I made lunch for everyone. So I took it and said thanks, but I didn't eat it. I took it outside and let some stray cat have it. I should have taken the opportunity to explain to them why I want to eat like how I want to eat, and next time, I don't need the rice. And they gave me plates of like tomatoes and cucumbers and onions and avocado before, so I don't know. It's hard for me to tell someone no to their face. Yeah, I can understand that. So what I say is, thank you so, so much. It's very hard for me to say no as well. It's hard for everyone, especially somebody you love. So I say, thank you so much, but I don't eat that. I only eat raw fruit and vegetables, nuts and seeds. That is the truth. You're not lying, and you're not saying no. You're saying thank you so much, but I only eat. I'm on a raw vegan lifestyle, so I only eat fruit, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. Thank you so, so much, though. I really appreciate that, because the truth is that they love you, and it's the thought that counts. It's really the thought that counts. So you want to make sure and make sure they understand that you are appreciative and you do really, really love that they care about you, but that you just don't eat that anymore. And people have always said to me, I'm so sorry to eat this in front of you. I know you can't eat this, but I can eat it, and you can too, boo. You can eat that rice and the salsa, but you don't want to, and that's okay. It's okay to put yourself first. It is okay. And I just want you to know that you're not alone. That's a really big struggle for most people. And it was for me for a long time. So I used to take the food and then throw it away or whatever, until something really crazy happened. I think it was 2018. I've told this story before, but I'll tell it again. I had started a brand new job, and I was about 2 weeks into the job, and they found out it was my birthday. Somehow, I guess on the paperwork, So this whole big company planned this surprise birthday party for me, and I walk in to the office, or it wasn't an office, it was the back of one of the juice stores. I was the training manager of a juice bar of a food and beverage company, and funny because the company only sold raw foods, but we digress. I walked in to the back room of the store, and like 50 people popped out and said, "Happy birthday, Jeanette! Happy birthday, Boo!" And I was like, oh my God, it was amazing. They had balloons and everything. And I was like, oh my God. And they started playing music, and it was so fun. And then they brought out this cake that they made of cupcakes, and they had all these candles. And I was like, I'm not that old. They're like, yes, you are. We heard you are. I think I was 33 or something. Yeah, I think I was turning 33. And that's how like people from Brooklyn say it. But anyway, okay. So my boss was like, these cupcakes, we got them just for you. They're gluten-free, sweetened with dates. They're vegan, and we got them just for you. And like, I knew they weren't raw because they were from a place called Sprinkles, and they don't have nothing raw there. And like, oh Lord. And I got all these people looking at me, and then my boss goes, try it. You're going to love it, Jeanette. It's date sweetened, gluten-free, organic, and vegan, and all made from Whole Foods. Like, you know, like she was just, and there was so much pressure, and I felt so, for a second, I was like, just take a bite, Jeanette. It's not a big deal. And then I was like, wait a minute. Wait. No. This is a big fucking deal. This is a big deal because I have been raw, but like, by that time, I was raw for 7 years. And I haven't let anyone pressure me into eating anything for 7 years. Granted, I've been antisocial for a lot of those years, but still, 7 years. So I literally said, oh my gosh, thank you so much, but I'm raw, and I don't think these are raw. And then somebody was like, no, I think these are raw. They were not raw, guys. Like, you know what a raw cupcake looks like, and you know what a cooked cupcake looks like. And then everyone was like, just one bite. It's just one bite. And I was like, oh my God, thank you so much. I'm so sorry. Thank you so much. And I gave the girl a hug, my boss. And I was like, can I take some home for my sister and my mom? And they were like, of course. But they were all disappointed in me. You know, they were all disappointed. And then somebody was like, sorry, Jeanette. We thought you could eat these. And I was just like, I can, but I don't want to. It was one of the most, I'll never forget it. It was just one of the most awkward moments in my raw vegan career. So I just want you to know that a few more of those moments have happened in like the past 13 years, but I've survived them. I've survived, and I'm still surviving, and you know, I'm sure there'll be moments in the future. But this is why I love places like the Woodstock Fruit Festival, which we are sold out of tickets, by the way. But I love it because I get to be a normal person. You know, nobody cares what you're eating. You're all eating the same things. You're all eating big-ass plates of fruit and salads and things. And everything is just like, everything is about connection and everything else. And so it's not about the food. Everything's so, like, centered around food in our society. So I understand why it can be difficult, especially working in the real world. You know, I work from home now, but I have to tell you, I've never really worked in the real world as a raw vegan except the first year. Okay? So the first year of being a raw vegan, I had 3 jobs. I worked at Sony Music's Avatar recording studio, and I worked at this little health food store called Integral Yoga Natural Foods. I worked there 1 day a week. I worked at Sony 5 days a week, and I worked at the recording studio 2 days a week. I worked every single day from literally like 7 a.m. until after midnight. It was wild. And then it took me like an hour and a half to get home. Sorry about the background noise. It'll be over in a minute. But anyway, I remember that first year, I was so excited. And I remember, because I was so excited, that I wouldn't let any comments ever deter me or like deflate me from my excitement. And I had so many new things that I was eating, and I would be at work, and because I worked outside, I had to bring all my own stuff. So a lot of the times I would go to work with all of my fruit and vegetables, and I would be like making the salad at my desk, and all my coworkers were like, "Whoa, that smells so good." When you're cutting up peppers, or when you're cutting up like, I don't know, like all the herbs and stuff, they smell so fragrant and amazing. And so I know people were like really always commenting on that. And then what happened was I would always have a lot of raw vegan gourmet food. So I would be coming to work with like tostadas and like raw vegan lasagna and things like that. And I would let people try it, and they would be like, "Oh my God, this is so good." And I always ate for dessert this raw vegan cake every day. It was like, a personal sized cake, but every day I would have this raw vegan tart from Hail Mary's, which was so good, so rich. And it was cacao, coconut oil, cashews, maple syrup, and like vanilla. And it was so freaking good. And I used to have that like every single day. And, I wasn't sitting there eating a giant thing of watermelon for dinner. Like, that would have been strange. But since I had foods that looked like other food, lasagna and like cake and whatever, then nobody really thought too much about it. And, except for when I was making my salad. But people loved it. They were like, "Oh my God, it smells so good in here." Cutting basil and mint and peppers. And what else smells when you cut it? I don't know. That's pretty much it. Anyway, so yeah, I definitely was made fun of a few times though. But then what happened is that, well, I decided that I was going to quit my job at the recording studio because it was really hard for me to be in that lifestyle, where they want you to go out after work, they want you to drink, they want you to be up really, really late. A lot of people do drugs in the music industry, and like here I am becoming a raw vegan, and it's like, it's just not my type of scene. I don't like to drink. I've never drank. I don't like to be out really late and, all the things. It's just a very unhealthy lifestyle. So I quit, and then I started working at Integral Yoga Natural Foods. And then from there, I started working at a place called Organic Avenue, which was a raw vegan food and beverage establishment. And then within 6 months, I became the boss. And so after I became the boss, it's funny because before I became the boss, people, I didn't really tell too many people because I worked alone at this little boutique. So I could eat, on my own, and I would eat the food there, raw vegan falafels and stuff. And sometimes once in a while, people would be like, "Wow, you're raw? Whoa." They would say stuff. And then I became the boss. And then, I basically became the company, So, I was the only raw vegan in the whole company. And so people didn't really make fun of me after that. Side note, people used to call me bossy until I became the boss. I thought that was interesting. I thought that was really funny. But anyway, that's it. I don't really know what we're talking about here. Oh yeah, I was answering the questions. Oh yeah, the social. So yeah, living in the real world as a raw vegan, it's not ideal, but you can do it because you can do a lot of things that you don't realize you can do, and you've also been through way harder things. I love to remind my friends and my clients of all the hard things they've been through in their life. You're taking for granted all of the horrible, really, really hard things you've been through and not realizing your power and your strength that you can get from that. All right? So I hope that you start to realize it is hard saying no to people. It is, but it's also hard to be sick, and you've been through way worse. Way worse. And I always compare things, Okay, today I did a webinar, and it was really embarrassing because nobody had any questions afterwards. And, it's hard to just talk and you're talking to you feel like, is anybody paying attention? Or you just feel like if nobody has any questions, then I don't know. it's kind of like an awkward moment, right? That's all. So when nobody had any questions, I was thinking like, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed right now. What I said make sense? Did I talk too fast? Probably did, because I'm from New York. We talk really fast. It's my first webinar, and I was kind of embarrassed, and nobody had questions. And then some people started having questions because they felt bad for me. So I started answering them, but I was like, oh, these are pity questions. But I really appreciate it, everybody that came to my first webinar. And I was thinking that maybe every Saturday I will do another class. But I don't know. I mean, every Sunday. But I don't know. You let me know. I might do it. But I'm not sure. Nobody had any questions, so I don't know. Y'all know everything. Y'all know everything about the raw food diet. I'm bitter. Anyway, it was just awkward. But then I think to myself, I was like, oh my God, I did such a bad job. Talked too fast or blah, blah, blah. I said things that people already knew. And then I thought to myself, wait a minute. I ran a meeting in front of 500 people once with diarrhea because I was on a juice cleanse. That was hard. And the bathroom was really close to where the meeting room was. So every time I went to the bathroom, like they could hear what was going on in there. And I kept having to leave. I kept making up, like, you know me, I'm really good at hiding what's going on. So basically, I don't know if you know that, but now you know. So basically, I kept thinking of brand new exercises for the company to do, like, grouping people into groups of 4 and 5, for everybody to do, so that I could fucking go to the bathroom. Because I was drinking celery apple juice for the whole day, and I did not know, apparently, it caused me to have diarrhea. And, this is the beginning of my journey, so I had a lot of undigested, old, rotting fecal matter in my colon that needed to be released. I couldn't tell you. That's probably the last time I had diarrhea, which was like about 11 or 12 years ago. But it wasn't fun, and it was hard as hell. I survived, and that was much, much harder than today because, listen, I just didn't get any questions. That's, what is that? That's nothing. I didn't get diarrhea. Okay, let me not yell diarrhea because somebody just turned around. Okay, love you guys. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening to the podcast. If you're not subscribed yet, please subscribe to this podcast. If you have never given me a review, I would love so much if you went to Apple Podcasts and left a review. It would really, really help me out. Simple, it's free, and it takes less than a minute. And I would love if you can go subscribe to my YouTube channel, Ms.FitVegan, Ms.FitVegan. And yeah, it just helps me out a lot so that I can continue creating content and sharing my raw vegan journey with you and everyone else. Thank you so much. I'll see you soon, boo. Bye.